It's a very good evening here in Varna on the east coast of Bulgaria, and I'm literally walking in the sand. I did have my shoes on earlier, but I couldn't walk really with my shoes on, so it's actually very nice here. It's quite a pleasant evening in Varna, and I wasn't really sure what to expect because I've not been to Bulgaria before, so I'm quite pleasantly surprised. I was expecting maybe sort of a Soviet era type of city, but even though in some cases there are some buildings and the look does sort of define that era, there's also a very nice beach here as well, and it's quite nice. Well, I think they're called shacks. I remember seeing them in Goa, and I will call them shacks, where they're serving drinks and food, and there seems to be quite a few. Actually, some of them are literally shacks, but some of these are proper buildings. So let's see what the beachfront here in Varna is like. It's actually a little bit empty at the moment, even though the weather is actually fine. The weather here is actually quite nice for the evening, but you can see some people, they're playing. There's that sport that they play lately, I'm not sure what it's called. It's a cross between tennis and badminton and volleyball and some other thing. I saw this in New York as well. I forgot the name of it, but one of my friends actually plays it. I've forgotten the name. I made so much fun of him when he told me. What is it? Is this what you're doing nowadays? But here in Varna, they're playing their game. We'll just call it tennis badminton for now. That's out. That's how they play this game. He got a bit annoyed there at the shot, actually. This very much is a reminder of Soviet era type buildings, and that's right on the beachfront. Got pretty much Soviet history. This probably is no, I don't think this is a Soviet era bus, even though it has all the hallmarks of the damage on the side, but I don't think they did bendy buses in the Soviet Union. I think that's a new creation, a new invention. Just walking down one of the side roads, and more Soviet era buildings here. It's quite interesting to still find these, because I know a lot of the former Soviet Union countries now, ever since they've achieved independence, ever since the fall of the Iron Curtain, the fall of the Berlin Wall, a lot of the countries have been changing and demolishing a lot of the structures. But here, lots of cats here as well. Got an old sort of look to it, a very Soviet feel. Most of this road actually has a Soviet look to it. But there is the odd new building here and there. Actually, the hotel that I'm staying at is opposite the beachfront, and that's a new building, so relatively new hotel. Looks pretty good as well. But here is former Soviet buildings. Coming up to, I think, more the historical centre, I think. Running out of Soviet era buildings. But I think a lot of this actually is because it's pedestrianised here. I think this is the historical centre, I'm guessing. Architecture's changed all of a sudden as well. We've got the Orient Turkish restaurant. Reminds me of my recent trip to Istanbul. Just smelling those the smells of the food. And actually, if this is the historic centre, no, I don't think this is the historic centre. Doesn't look very historic to me. Not sure where I am. I'll just carry on walking. I'm exploring, and yes, more Soviet buildings over here. So I've passed all the Soviet era buildings, and I've turned up to this small little enclave here, where there's a restaurant, and there's not many options actually just where I am by the hotel, and I don't want to venture out too much because I haven't got my bearings right yet. So I've come to this place. It's like a sports bar really. Ordered a cheeseburger because there's not many options. There really isn't many options here. It was a Turkish restaurant, but I don't want to go and eat Turkish food today. I might investigate that for later on. But I will just say there's a lot of interesting architecture here. It's the old with the new. So I'm going to finish off my food when it arrives and take a break from this. And I think if you do want to come down to places like this, come down soon, because there's a lot of development going on here. I've spoken to a few people here and they've said that there's a lot of change coming, and so these buildings will be torn down in a matter of years and replaced by new modern structures, and then all of Europe pretty much looks the same. So come here whilst this architecture still stands. There's also a Soviet era memorial as well, which hopefully I'll try and find. But do come down, check these buildings out, because it's a link to a bygone era. So from the Soviet enclave in Varna, actually that's probably the wrong wording, Soviet style buildings here, I'd say. It's goodbye.